Bonjour à tous. My name is Kendra Titley, and I will be your moderator. Je m'appelle Kendra Titley, et je serai l'animatrice de ce point de presse. Available for questions from the media, we have disponible pour répondre aux questions des médias, nous accueillons Mayor, le maire, Mark Sutcliffe, Wendy Stephenson, interim city manager, directrice municipale par intérim, Cyril Rogers, acting chief financial officer, chef des finances intérimaire, Rick O'Connor, city clerk, greffier municipal, as well as members from his team, ainsi que plusieurs membres de son équipe. I will now invite each agency in alphabetical order to ask questions. You may ask one question with a follow-up. Par ordre alphabétique, j'invite maintenant chaque organisme à poser une question et une question de suivi. When asking your questions, please identify who your question is directed to, and if you are in council chambers, do so from the microphone. Lorsque vous posez vos questions, veuillez indiquer à qui s'adresse votre question, et si vous êtes dans la salle du conseil, veuillez le faire au micro. We'll now start with, nous allons commencer par Joanne Chianello at CBC Ontario.
Oh, hi, thanks very much. I'm cheating by getting another CBC question in. I'm actually just asking a procedural question. And that is that I just emailed to the deputy clerk, so maybe you can get that on the record. I know Councillor Menard asked for sections 2A, I, III, to be lifted and voted on, but I think Mayor Sutcliffe, you had said everyone is voting on recommendation 2A. Those are quite different. Wondering if anyone can clear that up, and if you can have to clear it up, later, that's fine too.
So, I mean, I could speak to that from my perspective. If as far as I'm concerned, 2A included 2A, I, II, and III.
No, but 2A also is the actual full budget direction of 2 to 2.5%, and some people voted. I think there's somebody who wanted to vote for that but voted against it. You know what I mean? So maybe it needs to be cleared up.
Joanne, I would just say in the end, Joanne, everybody voted in favor of the entire budget direction, including 2A, 2AI, 2A, 2A, So
yeah, that's the part I'm confused by, because when you said we're all going to vote for 2A, 9 people voted against it, and then for the whole direction, everybody voted for it. So I don't think everybody voted for the direction of 2 to 2.5%. So I'm a little bit confused. Maybe I'm the only one. I'm happy to take this offline, but just in case anybody was there to clarify it for everyone, I thought I'd bring it up now just for fun.
Okay. Mr. O'Connor, did you want to speak to that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just say that we can gladly take this offline with Joanne.
Thank you.
We'll follow up with you. We'll now go to Kate Porter at CBC Ottawa.
Hi, everybody. Question probably for you, Cyril Rogers. So we heard a lot today from councillors who were concerned about what the budget's direction could mean for cuts to services. And obviously you named a number of pressures, right? Inflation, all these other things. And it's just 7 weeks away. So I'm wondering, when you say you're going to bring back a list of mitigation measures, just how tough of choices are going to be on that list compared to past years? What kind of list are they looking at? Or I'm not sure, Wendy, if you might want to jump into.
Thank you for the question. So as I highlighted during the meeting, so we will be working closely with the departments to identify all those pressures. And as Mr. Mayor Sutcliffe also identified, with the 2.2% growth, assessment growth, that's a big factor in helping us, kind of get us along and achieving what we have to achieve in the next 7 weeks. One of the things I highlighted earlier today was fuel being a very variable component. We've seen significant reductions in the past month. It's very unpredictable, but these are things that we're going to be employing over the next coming weeks as we kind of get that budget ready to be tabled on February 1st.
But just in relation to past budgets, we've often had that threat of plan A, plan B, plan C on transit, for instance, right? So what do you see this time around compared to those past choices that everybody's had to face?
I think what you'll see is that same consistent approach. We'll come back with make sure we have that risk mitigations in terms of that plan A, B, C. Obviously, it won't be a one size fits all. So it will vary across different departments and what risk mitigations we employ, and that will be articulated in the budget.
Okay. My second question was for you, Mayor Sutcliffe. I'm just wondering on the brownfields. I mean, I know you ran on eliminating brownfields and community improvement programs, but just philosophically speaking, I mean, what is it that you see that could be not helpful by them, for instance, especially financially and especially given the Ontario context right now?
So as you know, we're facing a lot of budget pressures, and this is often a big expenditure. We're talking in some cases, as we heard today, about a $10 million item. And so I think the objective of the review that's going to be conducted is to understand to what extent these programs are actually incentivizing new development that would not occur otherwise, or whether these incentives are actually just subsidizing development that would otherwise occur. So I think the better we understand that, the more we can, the more clearly we'll understand the situation and be able to move forward with a program that actually accomplishes what it's intended to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Kate.
Nous allons maintenant Charles-Antoine Gagnon à la 3.
As
Le droit.
question in English because maybe it's going to need an English answer. As the city, did the city do evaluation of the impact of federal civil servants not coming back to work downtown, which means there's less people taking the bus, there's less people spending in restaurants, in businesses. There are businesses that are closed because there's no or almost no civil servants downtown. So I'm wondering if now the unions say, well, we don't want civil servants to go downtown. We want them to continue, stay and work from home. So as the city, did the city do an impact, financial impact on that?
Thank you very much for that question. I think the largest impact, and we talked a little bit about it today, was around transit ridership and what that's going to look like. Work is well underway in terms of developing that forecast for the 2023 budget. The work is not done yet, and we are waiting for the final ridership and revenue numbers to come through. We know that ridership will not return to 100% pre-pandemic levels. And so as we bring and table the budget forward, we will put a realistic number forward with respect to ridership and revenues.
But overall, at large, with like I mentioned, people are not spending downtown. They're not buying stuff in businesses. Some businesses closed. Was there a study of that was done or not?
In terms of overall economic development, I mean, we can look to see if there's information available and share that with you. We can take that away. What I can tell you in terms of overall revenues that are coming into the city, very specifically around property taxation, there's been no impact to that. We are seeing some reductions, obviously, in our parking revenues that are coming downtown as a result, as well as our payment in lieu of taxation revenues with respect to the BET decrease, but that's not related to the actual traffic that's happening downtown.
Merci Charles-Antoine, et nous ferons un suivi avec vous après le point de presse. We'll now go to Taylor Blewett at the Ottawa Citizen.
Thanks. My first question is for the mayor on the recreation fee, a kind of shift, I suppose. When you ran for mayor in your campaign and said, you know, a 10%, the promise was a 10% cut across the board in rec fees, the estimated cost of that was $2 million at the time. What we heard today was that this new approach is thought to cost, $300,000 to $400,000 approximately, or a more targeted approach when it comes to offering lower cost or greater subsidies for youth recreation. Was the cost savings compared to the original option, was that part of your thinking in the shift?
No, I honestly don't remember that figure from the campaign. I'm happy to go back and look and
can send
see
it to you.
what it was. It would have been an estimate that would have been done by our campaign team and not by the city's finance department. So obviously now we have more accurate information. The intent of the shift was not to save money. The intent of the shift was to target the people who would benefit most from a cut to recreation fees for families. And it was suggested to me by staff and by others that it would be a more effective use of whatever money we were investing in this to target families in need, as opposed to an across the board cut that, for example, would include my family and a 10% reduction in recreation fees for my family would not impact.
The assessment growth, because we're hearing that this year it is larger than had been seen in the past. Obviously, though, there are costs associated with new homes that come online, as well as new tax revenue coming into the city. Ms. Stevenson, would you be able to, or Sarah Rogers, be able to just speak to the difference between the new revenue that comes in when, I guess, an average home gets added, and then the difference between the cost of providing city services to that new home?
Yes, so that additional revenue for those new houses that come onto the tax roll does help support city services in terms of delivering the services to those new areas. So winter maintenance, road maintenance, et cetera. So that is a factor in terms of how we allocate that funding.
But like, is it revenue neutral that the cost of all city services for a new household is thought to be about the same as like the increase in, does that make sense what I'm asking?
I think so. I mean, it's part of our budget exercise. So we do look at, obviously, some services are impacted more than other services. Specifically, when you look at a roadway, clearing a road is more specific, or garbage collection is more specific than, what the uptake would be in terms of a recreational program, depending on the demographic in the household. So it's very nuanced and different. So we look at the overall impact of delivering the services, and that funding helps support the overall portfolio.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now go to Bruce Deachman at the Ottawa Sun.
My first question is for the mayor. It seems today it's clear there's a lot of confusion and anger about the VUT. A lot of people seem to maybe not like the program. Many just seem confused by it. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on both the program and its rollout so far.
I think the program is a good one in that it's proven to show results in other jurisdictions in terms of generating revenue for affordable housing, and also providing an incentive for homeowners, for owners of vacant properties to start putting those properties into the market again and having them filled. And those, both those things contribute to the availability and affordability of housing in the city. I agree with a lot of the concerns that residents have raised about how this was introduced. And I think in principle, we should be making this kind of implementation easy for residents rather than difficult. So I think it's important that we gather information and look at how we could potentially do this more effectively going forward.
Thank you. And my second question is for Ms. Stephenson, and it's about in the budget direction, there's no breakout for increases to garbage collection and water. And I'm wondering if you know those numbers and
thank you.
What they look like.
So part of the directions report, there is a recommendation for increases to the rate structure, which is correlated to a long range financial plan for rate, and also for the solid waste in terms of referencing the reports in the solid waste program. 4.2% was the overall increase mentioned in the report for the rate program. The actual impact for solid waste will be defined and identified in the budget documents as we bring those forward, that level of detail.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nous allons maintenant à Frédéric Pépin à Radio-Canada.
Bonjour, Monsieur Sutcliffe. Alors, on a entendu votre collègue Rogers parler qu'il va y avoir
We heard our colleague from Rogers say that there are choices that have to be made in the next budget, difficult choices in some cases. And we saw today that there seems to be a united council around the budget. What do you think will be tough in terms of getting this budget through? And people want to know, what impact will there be on people's daily lives? What do you think will be a difficult decision? Could you give us an example? Well, first of all, it's always difficult to make choices, budget choices. It's always difficult. I think there's pressure on the budget this year. But everything seems to point to it being possible to maintain taxes low and to keep increases low and to maintain programs and services that residents depend on. I think it's possible to do both. Now we have a process which is starting now, and all councillors will be participants in this process to set out their priorities and to take part in the decision-making process. It's the start of the process, not the end. And we have a lot we still need to get done to develop the final budget. Second question, linked to public servants in the downtown core who are now working from home. Now, we heard earlier about the impact of their absence. Ms. Forti will be making an announcement tomorrow about the possible return of workers or federal workers back to the downtown core. What would be the ideal situation for you? Do you think that they should come back or not? Well, most city employees are working here on site at City Hall. They're doing their work in their offices or in community centers, in libraries across the city. There's only a small minority of city workers who are working from home currently. So I'm looking forward to Ms. Fortier's announcement tomorrow. And once we hear that announcement, perhaps we'll be in a position to talk about a solution for those employees who are continuing to work virtually. Mr. Sutcliffe, a clarification. I'm talking about federal public servants, not just Ottawa city workers. Perhaps you don't want to give me an answer to my question, but does the city of Ottawa hope that they'll come back to working in the downtown core? Well, first of all, it's not our decision to make. It's up to the federal government to decide. Now, I know that there are public servants who want to continue working from home. But it would be better for the city of Ottawa if there were public servants working in the downtown core and who are using public transit and the train as well. So if there are more public servants working in the downtown core, in their offices, that would be a lot better for the city of Ottawa. But I do respect the fact that it's a decision for the federal government to make in consultation with the unions who represent government workers. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Merci.